Actress and artist Adrienne King appeared at the Hollywood Show in Burbank, California, and Retroality TV's Chris Mann was there to discuss with her the legacy of the original Friday the 13th movie.
So Adrienne King, nice to meet you.
It's great to be here at this wonderful show here in Hollywood.
In Hollywood, yeah. And you have such an interesting story because you are an icon in horror film, the first and second Friday the 13th, which everyone in my age, range grew up with.
And 3 generations now.
It's great.
Globally.
It's amazing.
It is.
And you have taken your fame and your experience and you channeled that into art. How did that process begin? And it's amazing.
It was better than the alternative of murder.
That's what Friday the 13th taught you.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to survive no matter what it takes.
Yep.
I think by now everyone kind of knows about the whole stalker thing between 1 and 2, so we don't need to go there anymore.
Right. But, thank God that's long in the past.
All long done, but what it did is it gave me great survival skills. Between being Alice against Mrs. Voorhees and then having the real life scenario in my own life, one gets stronger. And now, almost 29-30 years later, we're still talking about it. I'm here with the fans. Everyone's just enjoying the fact that we've all survived.
There you go.
Because we've all been through hell, right?
There you go.
It's just a matter of how you get out of hell. And if you get out of hell, but,
And so your artwork reflects...
Well, this is actually the gates of hell, this one.
That's the gates of hell.
As you can see, multimedia.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't do plays of these, but, this is what I call my dark art, and I drove down here with my husband because we were to a family reunion in Southern California, so I was able to throw some of my more detailed art into the car just to share it with the fans. I like to do that, show them that Alice was not an artist by a fluke, I came with my sketch pad and incorporated her into my character.
They got that from you.
I think so. I mean, it's hard for me to really recall, but she might have been an artist ahead of time, but the fact that she was an artist might have had something to play with the fact that I got the role. Who knows?
You were really unique, especially at the time, for being this everyday girl who...
The girl next door, like Sean Cunningham said.
Absolutely.
When he cast the role, he was looking for the girl next door, and there it was.
That made the character so relatable. And really for Friday the 13th, your character has depth. I mean, I think that's something you brought to the role. When you went in to read the role, how was she described? And
the characters were not well formed, but in a way that was a blessing because we were able to just really get into our own backstory, create what we needed to fill out the characters. We were all very well-trained actors out of New York, young actors, Kevin Bacon and Julian Taylor and Harry Cosby. We were all at the same place in our careers, just about to come onto the scene and burst out, and it wasn't a stretch to really play half of it, young, nubile camp counselor for most of us, because we were kind of right there.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun together.
It showed. That first movie in particular has a real
camaraderie,
genuineness to it.
And it was. And that's how it was.
And the fight scenes that you had with Betsy Palmer are legendary now.
Yes.
There's something so gritty about that scene where you realize, oh my God, this woman's nuts. And then she takes a swing at you. I mean, does that fight scene, filming that, does that stand out in your mind? Do you and Betsy ever reflect?
It's interesting that you should ask me that question. Betsy and I actually saw the movie for the first time together last year in Chicago. I'm not really sure what city, but we sat in the back row of this beautiful old theater and watched it together. And really, we were kind of taken aback at how
so cool.
And you have to understand Betsy. I mean, she's always been like, piece of shit. You know, that whole story. I think after having seen it and we realized it's still held up, and I think we're very proud of our performances because we've never had a chance to really enjoy them before.
There was definitely a chilling aspect. There was a psychological aspect to that movie, and that scene in particular.
It was much deeper than what you see these days. I mean, you got into people's heads. You know, it was like identifying. I think Sean Cunningham really got it right. Kids you can identify with, a mother you can trust, a mother who only loved her son.
That's right.
You basically went nuts.
These camp counselors let him drown.
It was all their fault. You have to blame somebody, and it probably was their fault, you know?
Yeah, right. Let's get honest here.
Let's be real about this. But at the same time, it was wonderful to, after all these years, Lord knows, all these decades, to finally share that with her.
Wow.
Because while we were filming it, obviously, Sean and I kept us apart. He didn't want us to get close, and now we've almost become best buddies. And she's a mother figure in my life, and I adore her and shit, and I know she feels the same way.
And you cut her head off, and you guys are still talking?
And she's still talking to you.
Was it odd for her to see that ending?
Oh, yeah. It truly was. I think what was most astonishing for both of us is that you could tell, you know, most of the audience were hardcore fans and knew what was coming. But boy, there were still those few. You could tell it was their first time. And of course, there was major popping from the seats into, you know. One guy had keys on his lap, which actually flew 4 rows down. So it still holds up.
It does. It does.
For more celebrity news and interviews, go to www.retroality.tv.